Yeah, I do.
Okay, now it's okay. You're good.
Okay, start over.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Today we're going to look at the growing issue of excessive screen time in children. Screens are now a normal part of childhood, from phones and tablets to TVs, computers, and gaming consoles. Now, kids use screens for entertainment, schoolwork, socializing, and even relaxation. Because of this, many children are spending more time on devices than ever before, often without realizing the impact it can have on their health and development. Now, this topic matters because screen time has increased dramatically over the past decade. Younger and younger children are getting devices, and many are using them for several hours a day. While technology can be educational and helpful when used appropriately, excessive use and exposure to children it can expose children to risks that affect their safety, physical health, relationships, and mental well being. To understand this issue clearly, we've divided our presentation into four major areas. First, we'll look at safety risks and online exposure. Even when kids seem safe at home, they can face risks like cyberbullying, online predators, exposure to violent or inappropriate content, and long term privacy issues. Children often don't fully understand these dangers, which makes them more vulnerable. Second, we'll move into the physical effects of too much screen time. These can include sleep disruption from late night screen use, headaches, fatigue, eye strain, vision problems, and even weight gain from long periods of sitting. Third, we will talk about the impact on relationships. Excessive screen time can reduce the amount of quality time children spend with their friends, family, and those around them. When kids prioritize devices over real life communication, it can weaken those bonds and lead to misunderstandings or conflict. And finally, we'll explore the mental effects. Too much screen time can affect a child's attention span, emotional resilience, and overall brain development. Because kids' brains are still growing, they are more sensitive to overstimulation and fast-paced digital environments. By exploring these four areas, safety, physical health, relationships, and mental development, we can better understand how screen time affects children beyond the service level. With that overview in mind, let's begin with the first major concern: safety risks and online exposure.
Now with safety risks and excessive screen time going with that. The safety risk of online exposure that kids face today, while the internet can be educational, creative, and fun, it can also expose children to dangers that parents, caregivers, and even kids themselves need to be aware of. First, there's cyberbullying. This includes hurtful messages, mean comments, and social media group chats where someone is talked about behind their back and even being intentionally excluded from online games or group conversations. Unlike traditional bullying, cyberbullying doesn't end when the school day does. Because many kids carry their phones everywhere. This constant access can make the abuse feel never ending. According to the Centers of Disease Control, kids who experience cyberbullying are more likely to develop anxiety, depression, and stress related physical symptoms. This shows how serious online harassment can be for a kid's mental and physical health. Another major risk is online predators. There are individuals who try to gain a child's trust by pretending to be someone that they're not. They might act like they are the same age and share similar interests or pretend to be friendly and supportive. This is especially common on social media, online games, and group chats, and live streaming platforms. The National Center of Missing and Exploited Children reports that online enticement cases have been rising every year, and many involve predators who use gaming platforms or chat apps to connect with kids. Children need to learn to never share personal information or photos with strangers online, and we need to speak up. And if someone makes them uncomfortable, they need to say something. Excessive screen time also increases the chances that kids will encounter inappropriate content. This includes violent videos, adult content, harmful challenges, or misleading information disguised as facts. Sometimes kids stumble onto this type of content by accident, even on platforms designed for children. Even brief exposures can affect a child's emotions, causing fear, confusion, or curiosity about the things they're not old enough to understand. Over time, too much exposure can make unsafe or unhealthy behavior seem normal. Privacy risks are another concern. Kids often share personal information online without understanding the long time consequences. Posting their location, school name, photos, or phone number can lead to identity theft, stalking, or unwanted attention. Many children forget that once something is posted online, it's extremely hard to remove. This is known as a digital footprint. According to the Common Sense Media, many teens regret posting personal information online and say they didn't fully understand the impact of those posts until later. Teaching kids to think before they post is essential into keeping them safe. There's also the issue of social comparison. Spending a lot of time online can make kids compare their lives to what they see on social media. Perfect photos, perfect bodies, perfect families, but most of what they see is edited or staged. Constant comparison can lead to low self-esteem, body image issues, and feelings of not being good enough. This emotional pressure can be heavy for kids who are still figuring out who they are. Finally, excessive screen time itself can affect children's development. Too much screen time often means less sleep, less exercise, and less time spent on homework, family interaction, and creative play. The American Academy of Pediatric, I can't say that, of the American Academy warns that high amounts of screen time can affect attention span, emotional regulation, and academic performances. While occasional screen time use isn't harmful, hours and hours every day can make away from important activities that kids need to grow. In conclusion, while screens are a normal part of everyday life, excessive screen time can put kids at serious risk. Cyberbullying, predators, exposure to inappropriate content, privacy issues, unhealthy comparisons, and developmental challenges all highlight why it's so important to set boundaries and teach children about online safety. When we stay involved and guide them, we can help kids enjoy the internet in a way that is safe, positive, and responsible.
Now we will go through the physical effects that are caused due to excessive screen time. Down below, we see that there's 4 major ones that are listed, but of course there are many more. But the one that we really want to focus on is sleep disruption. And of course, with that in mind, the blue light affects the melatonin given to a child with how much they are on their phones or any device that prevents a lot of screen time. They are able to have difficulties with sleeping and falling asleep and staying asleep, which of course causes a lot of quality sleep to be taken away from them. And of course, we can go through many more, and headaches and fatigue. We know as people spend a long period of time on their phones or devices such as iPads or anything, they tend to get headaches a lot more due to the eye strain digitally. And it's because their eyes must work harder to focus, which can result in dryness, irritation, blurred vision, and frequent headaches due to that. And of course, weight gain. We see as kids spend a lot of time on their screens that they can, of course, stay away from the physical activity that is needed to be able to help them to grow. And they miss a lot of life skills that are needed through that, which prevents them from having opportunities of active play, sports participation, or any outdoor exploration. Activities that are critical for health growth and physical development. This reduction in daily movement can weaken cardiovascular fitness, decrease muscle strength, and lead to increased stiffness or reduced flexibility. Like I said, we went through some of the following things on eye strain and vision problems, but because of that, that actually plays a huge effect with behavior and the risk of obesity. Because long periods of sitting slow down metabolism, making it easier for the body to store calories and fat. And additionally, children are more likely to snack mindlessly while using screens to be influenced by advertisements promoting high sugar, high calorie foods. And as the headaches and migraines for children continue to become excessive, due to the brightness, flicker, and rapid movement of screens, it can overstimulate the visual system. While dehydration, common when kids are absorbed in devices, can worsen the likelihood of headaches. Over time, recurring headaches may interfere with school performance, physical activity, and general well-being. For younger children, excessive screen time can interfere with the development of essential motor skills. Early childhood is a critical period for practicing these motor skills, such as grasping, stacking, or drawing, and gross motor skills, such as running, climbing, and balancing. When screens are replaced with this, the hands-on play, children have fewer opportunities to strengthen these foundational abilities, which may lead to delayed coordination, weaker muscle tone, and reduced confidence in physical tasks. Like I said, there are many more that we could go through and spend a lot of time on, but those are the four that we wanted to focus the most on. One of, as well that comes to mind is poor posture. Many children naturally adopt slouch or forward-leaning positions, which can place unnecessary strain on the neck, shoulders, and upper back. Over time, this can lead to chronic discomfort, muscle imbalances, and alignment issues that may persist into adulthood, which could play a huge effect on all the physical tasks that are meant for the future.
Now we'll be talking about the impact screen time has on relationships for kids. We wanted to highlight 5 main key points. The first one being less quality time together, poor communication, increased conflict, decreased intimacy, and jealousy and distrust. Starting off with less quality time together, excessive screen time can takes action away from people physically around us. Even if two kids are in the same room, being focused on a device instead of each other can make shared moments feel meaningless. When quality time is interrupted by checking notifications, scrolling social media, watching YouTube or other videos, it reduces opportunities for bonding, sharing memories, deep conversations. Over time, this leads to emotional distance because people no longer feel fully present with one another. Secondly, being poor communication. When communication mainly happens through texting or messaging apps or comments, important emotions and meaning can be lost. Text lacks tone and body language, and most kids text with slang or short words and abbreviation as a joke, and this may seem rude or short, and it may appear like somebody is upset when they aren't. People may also avoid difficult conversations by texting instead of talking in person, which can lead to unresolved issues. This can weaken emotional connection and create patterns of misunderstanding. Thirdly, we wanted to talk about increased conflict. Screens often become a source of frustration when one person feels ignored, replaced by technology. Arguments may begin about how much time is spent online when somebody is talking to them, or whether a phone should be put away during important moments. This can oftentimes cause many conflicts between kids and parents when their kids are spending too much time on their phone watching videos, playing video games, or doing whatever they are on their screens. It can often cause conflicts between the kids and their parents and make the parents get frustrated at them. It also causes disruptions every time they get notifications, and when they have their phones or screens at the dinner table, it can cause conflicts at the dinner table in places where you shouldn't be looking at any screens. This also can cause a decrease in intimacy between any kids and the relationships between their parents or other relationships that they might have further down in their life. It can cause hardships in physical and emotional closeness, and can cause suffering because the screens take priority. Spending evenings focused on shows, games, social media, YouTube, whatever it may be, reduces opportunities for their parents or loved ones to show affection and show love to them in those ways, and be able to do fun things with them and go, like, for example, play catch or do different things that help their kids grow emotionally. And then lastly, It can cause a lot of jealousy and distrust. Oftentimes, kids are on social media at such a young age and they're looking at screens or YouTube of different people. And these highlight versions of people in their best state, which can create a comparison and insecurity. Seeing old friends or other kids that might have more things than them might seem more attractive and seem like their other kids are having a better life than they are, and it can cause just jealousy and distrust, and also cause them to be in a way rude and disrespectful to their parents because they want more things and their parents can't really afford that. All five of these things are some of the things that we wanted to highlight and why screen time can affect relationships with kids and also obviously affects relationships and adults as well. And these are the 5 points that we wanted to cover for today.
Now we're going to talk about the mental effects that excessive screen time can have on children. First one is how it affects their emotional resilience. It's getting more and more common nowadays that when a baby is crying or having a fit, what a parent will do is they'll put them in front of a screen. And they do this because it works, it's effective. Most of the time, the kid will stop crying. And I understand that it can be effective during stressful times, but it creates bad habits because now as kids grow up, they begin to look to technology as their coping mechanism. So whenever they feel sad or angry or nervous, they now look for a screen because it will grab their attention and it will distract them from whatever they're facing. So instead of self-regulating through talking to their parents or just facing the problem head on, they are self-distracting. And that's why when you take their technology away, sometimes it can lead to big reactions from the kid. And it's not just because they want their iPad, it's because they don't know how to face life using real world skills. And this may work when kids are young. It can distract them from the problems maybe they're facing in elementary, but it creates bad habits. And when they're older, it just doesn't work like that. Say they're in a business meeting and they have a confrontation with the coworker, and so they're angry, and then say the boss steps in and he sides with the coworker. So now they're angry and they're probably sad and they're probably pretty embarrassed and they can't just get onto their phones and start scrolling in their meeting. They need the real world skills to be able to face that. And second is I want to focus on the major impact that excessive screen time can have for on attention span and impulse control, both of which are strongly connected to ADHD-like symptoms. In fact, research shows that heavy screen time, especially before the age of 5, is strongly associated with an increased risk of developing ADHD later on in life. So children have very adaptable brains and they adapt to whatever they consume. And screens move fast. They have bright visuals, quick cuts, and rapid rewards. And all those train a child's brain to expect constant stimulation. And kids will adapt to that pace, that fast pace, and the frequent dopamine hits. So whenever they try to do something slower, like reading or sitting through a class or um, doing homework, their brains just feel understimulated and they lose focus. They get bored quickly and they start to seek other things to stimulate their brains. And on top of that, screens reward instant gratification. So you tap and something happens immediately. You swipe and you get new content. And when you finish the video, the next one autoplays without you even thinking about it. And this reduces a child's ability to pause, wait, and think before acting, and it doesn't let them practice patience. It trains them to forego putting in the work for long-term results, just for things that give you instant gratification. And as we know in life, in order to achieve your long-term goals, you need to have that discipline and the ability to delay gratification and the reward for better results down the road. You need to be able to be disciplined in that. And a lot of screen time as a child makes it so they have the habit of just seeking the instant reward and gratification. And third, all of these tie in to dopamine overstimulations. So, dopamine is the brain chemical behind motivation and pleasure. It's what makes us feel rewarded. And screens release a lot of dopamine. Likes, notifications, new levels, bright visuals, rewards in a game, whatever it may be, each of these deliver a little dopamine hit. And over time, the brain will get used to this constant flow of dopamine and it starts to require more stimulation to feel satisfied. An example of this is if you look back at the first days of YouTube, it was just videos. A kid would watch a couple of 15 to 30-minute videos and they would fill the dopamine. They would get that dopamine hit. They'd be entertained. And that was enough for them. But what recently has taken over, if you look at it, is Reels. And the reason that TikTok became so popular so fast is that provides a new dopamine hit every 15 seconds or so. You can scroll every 15 seconds to a new video or even less. You don't even have to watch the whole video, and there's a new video with new visuals. So you just get another hit and another hit and another hit. And kids can get tens, even hundreds of these dopamine hits in one sitting as they scroll. So now oftentimes kids can't even sit through a normal YouTube video without needing something new. And that's because what used to give them enough of a dopamine hit just isn't enough anymore. And there are very, very few things that can give you a constant dopamine rush, like scrolling through Reels or social media. And that makes it very hard to function in everyday life. And activities like going to school, doing chores, or even playing outside. All these will feel much less rewarding compared to spending time on a screen. And kids will begin to constantly crave that. It can be very detrimental to their progression through life. So we kind of just want to encourage parents to step in now to start helping your children to not rely on screens. It might be really hard at first because they might already have that emotional dependency upon it, but the sooner that you can help them disconnect with screens and start focusing on getting real world skills, the easier life will be for them in the future.
So as we wrap up our presentation, it's clear that excessive screen time has a wide range of effects on children, many of which go unnoticed until they begin to create real problems in a child's daily life. Now, we started by looking at safety risks and exposures. Kids are especially vulnerable to cyberbullying, online predators, inappropriate content, and privacy risks because they don't always recognize danger or understand the consequences. Now, these risks remind us that screen time is not just about entertainment. It also shapes a kid's child's sense of safety and emotional security. Next, we discuss the physical effects: sleep disruption, headaches, eye strain, fatigue, and weight gain. All result from long hours of screen use. These may seem like small everyday complaints, but over time they affect learning, behavior, mood, and overall health. Because children are still developing physically, these effects can be even more significant. We then explored the impact on relationships. When children spend large amounts of time on devices, they often face fewer face-to-face interactions with family and friends. This can lead to weaker communication skills, increased conflict at home, and missed opportunities for bonding. Childhood is a critical time for learning how to interact socially, so reduced real-world connection can have lasting consequences. Finally, we examined the mental effects. High levels of screen use can reduce attention span, make it harder for kids to regulate emotions, and interfere with impulse control. The constant stimulation of fast-moving apps and games can overstimulate the brain's reward pathways, making everyday tasks feel boring or difficult. These mental impacts shape how children learn, focus, and handle stress. Now, overall, screens are not inherently harmful. They provide entertainment, creativity, communication, and learning opportunities. But when screen time becomes excessive, the risks begin to outweigh the benefits. The goal isn't to eliminate screens from children's lives, but to use them in a balanced and mindful way. By understanding these risks, parents, educators, and caregivers can help children develop healthier screen habits that protect their safety, support their development, and allow them to grow into well-rounded, emotionally healthy individuals. Thank you.